Welcome back, everyone. Bennett and I are doing double duty right now. I know how he's doing. I know how I'm doing. As usual, whatever. But we're doing another episode, and this episode is going to be about the possible end of the Fed, or at least the end of Federal Reserve independence, which the Fed has been a villain for a long time. I think they're an easy target. It's hard to defend them, I guess, is what I'm saying. I understand why people would side eye us a bit with the idea of being like, we need to maybe pause this and think about it a little bit more. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because the Doge team is trying to get into the Fed. Is like this is their next move. The Treasury, the Fed, they want to be involved in these important parts of, I don't even know if you call the Fed a part of the US government. I guess so, but like it's almost supposed to be separate.
It is supposed to be separate, right? It was very explicitly set up as like this vehicle where like the Federal Reserve Board has this small amount of government oversight, but each of the member banks are like basically fully independent of the federal government. For those who are unaware, the Federal Reserve sets many of the monetary policy decisions of the United States, including in large sense setting like the rates for our debts that are going to be issued. They also participate in important major market features, regulating certain liquidity actions, providing certain liquidity. They are a major bank regulator, especially for larger banks that have master accounts at the Federal Reserve, which is where the Federal Reserve is the bank for banks. Like it's where the banks store their reserves. They put it at the Federal Reserve Bank. The reason we're talking about the Federal Reserve is because, like we mentioned, they are in large part responsible for the United States' monetary policy. And the United States dollar is evidence of how pervasive and effective American hegemony has been around the world. It is the unit for a massive account of trade. Our debts are part of most countries' like reserves, most banks' reserves. The dollar is held by almost every single country as like part of their foreign exchange reserves. It is the global reserve currency. And our fear is that the cruelty and avarice of the two-headed king is going to result in a massive destabilization of the dollar because the independence of the Fed will be threatened. And once the independence of the Fed is threatened, the globe that depends on the Fed for a stable-ish dollar, it's stable compared to every currency. So a stable dollar, once people cannot count on that, a ton of different pieces of like global trade and stuff can fail to function as expected.
Will fail. Not can, will. There's no doubt that like we don't know the amount of destruction it would cause, but it would absolutely wreak havoc on the entire financial system globally. Now, to be clear, couple things I just want to clarify. The Federal Reserve has not been around forever when it comes to American monetary policy. For a long time, even at the beginning of the nation, you had different states issuing money, and then you've had all different kinds of money. We've had Ángela Vergara on to discuss company towns issuing their own money, right? So like monetary policy is weird, but the Federal Reserve has done a really amazing job. And it's really difficult to say that because I know how hated they are. But they've done a really good job since 1913 of stabilizing the dollar and making it really useful for the rest of the world. So credit where it's due, right? Credit where it's due.
And they're really interesting as a central bank in like their current degree of independence. They predate like the transition off the gold standard for the United States and like managed and handled that transition relatively well during the period like the interregnum between World War I and World War II. And the Fed has also often been a target of Elon Musk's ire. Over the years, he has frequently tweeted, especially during the Biden administration, his insistence that the Federal Reserve needed to cut rates immediately. I think there is space for criticism of the Federal Reserve's policies during the Biden administration. But I also think broadly, compared to a lot of other developed economies, the United States saw a faster recovery from COVID and had a better landing than a lot of other currencies and countries. And at least part of that can be attributed to Federal Reserve policy. And I understand that's not
a popular sentiment.
The Federal Reserve. And we'll have some criticisms of the Federal Reserve as a regulator and in other roles later in this episode. But we got to get through the important part, like the threatening the global financial system part first. Okay, you guys?
Right. And let's do that. So I was talking to Bennett the other day, and I basically was like, I think they're going to destroy the Fed. And he was like, I don't know about that, Cas. I'm not sure. I don't, maybe take a chill pill. And I was like, hold on, let's talk about this. Let's play it out. So the Federal Reserve has its own independent police force, the U.S. Federal Reserve Police, right? And so Bennett basically said to me oh, the police would arrest the Doge team members trying to come in. And I said, okay, they take them, charge them, and then what? What is the next thing that happens? Bennett, do you want to play this out a bit, or should I just keep going? How do you want to?
Sure. Well, there's a few things I think we can talk about here. One, we can kind of identify that this is going to be one of their targets because Elon Musk has already, in the last couple of weeks, been tweeting conspiracy theories about how the Federal Reserve is unaudited, which is not true. The Federal Reserve publishes their audits on their website. You can read them. They use different accounting standards because they're a central bank. And so the way their assets and liabilities work are a little bit different. But there's audits from accounting firms. You can find them. They're there, I promise. But it seems similar to his infatuation with Fort Knox. He wants to go to where all of America's gold is and make sure the gold is there and definitely not take it like a cartoon villain. He's definitely got good plans for the gold. Our fear is he's going to use this pretext of auditing the Fed, looking for fraud at the Fed, trying to get the Fed to cut rates to negative things so he can get more money. It's always about getting more money with Elon, and send the Doge boys in there, and in so doing, precipitate global panic.
In the name of finding waste and fraud, right? So they will say that they're planning on finding a bunch of waste and fraud in the Federal Reserve System. I don't even know how they would be qualified to, I don't think 19 to 22-year-olds, I don't think they have any concept of what money even is. Truly, I don't. I really do not think they understand it. The idea that they're going into the Fed and telling them what to do, I think is terrifying and should scare people. Okay, if we had experts going in there, and by experts, I don't mean one expert. I mean
these are the guys
100.
who went into the nuclear agency and fired the people who keep the nukes safe.
Okay.
You can't put them into the money place.
There's so many other things like USAID, right? They go in there, they destroy that, and then China's like, great job. We love it. Good job. Why do you think they're happy about that? Why do you think Russia is happy that we're
they can do belts and roads at 50% the cost because there's no competition for global foreign aid?
Yep. They're super stoked about it. So I dismantling the CFPB doesn't help anyone. Dismantling USAID, maybe there is waste and fraud in these agencies. I'm sure there is. But the idea that it is so monumental that we need to shut these agencies down is a lie.
If you actually thought that's what was going on, you would empower the inspectors generals instead of firing them. You would hire a special counsel that you can't fire to look into these things and produce a report to Congress, right? There are avenues and mechanisms. There are ways to root that out. And I also expect that the degree of government fraud, the percentage of fraudulent payments is much smaller than other businesses Elon Musk has been involved in. This is the guy who, when he ran his payments company, said we should stop collecting people's addresses and social security numbers.
Let's do Liberty
taking
Reserve.
them too long to sign up.
Look, so I think what I don't want to do a prediction, but I do want to say this out loud. My personal fear, is that the Doge team, these 19 to 22-year-old idiots with no life experience, try to go into the Federal Reserve and do something there. Now, I suspect they will be met with either the Federal Reserve Police or, Jerome Powell or one of the other Federal Reserve board members being like, fuck right off. And then they're going to say, well, then I'm going to talk to daddy. and then they're going to call Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is going to call Donald Trump, and then they'll issue some fucking executive order or some shit. And basically it will force Jerome Powell's hand. And again, Jerome Powell, not someone I ever thought I would be defending on Crypto Critics Corner. But here we are saying like, well, I really hope that Jerome Powell doesn't resign because he's forced to, and be like, hey, Federal Reserve is up for grabs now, so that the world knows what's going on here, which is genuinely my fear. And if that happens, we're in trouble. Now, this is not the same as a bank run, because if Elon Musk and Donald Trump don't do it, we're good. But this is in their hands now. And I need people to understand that they want access to all of this stuff. And if they fuck the Federal Reserve, if they fuck SWIFT, if they destroy the entire system as we understand it on an international global scale, as the Bank of International Settlements understands it, we're fucked. We're just so fucking fucked. People who are like, burn the fucking system down, you don't get it. You do not get it. You don't, there's no, you have no, no one in generations, not probably like 5 generations, has a remembrance of what something like this could be. It's been forever. It is a disaster. Don't let it happen. Do not let it happen. Call your senator, tell them you are concerned. Call your congressman, tell them you're concerned. Subscribe to journalists. Make sure that you do the thing. Talk to your friends and family. This would destroy the dollar, okay? And it isn't hyperbole anymore. This is a real thing that could actually happen, okay? There's no reason for it, except there's a bunch of idiots in charge. It's called kakistocracy. It is, the definition is government by the least suitable or competent citizens of a state. And that is what we are living through right now.
Yes. There are so many like big red buttons in the federal government that you're just never allowed to touch. And like going after the Federal Reserve is one of them. And it was a problem in Trump 1 when he like was jawboning and basically using the bully pulpit to go after Jerome Powell and the Fed.
If you thought tweeting was bad,
is like, yeah, this would potentially be an order of magnitude worse. And so hopefully
100 orders of magnitudes worse, to be clear.
And like to the degree where like the monetary currency collapse, I'm terrified would be on the like realm of the Weimar, right?
Yes.
Which also, I'm going to get moderately conspiratorial here for 90 seconds or so. Elon Musk is lying about Fort Knox. He's pretending the gold isn't there and acting like no one's been in there for 50 years. In Trump 1, Mitch McConnell, Stephen Mnuchin, a bunch of Kentucky politicians went into the Fort Knox. The gold is still there. The gold is still at the Federal Reserve banks too. The Treasury Office of the Inspector General inspects the seals on our gold reserves every year. There's a process for these things. But like, I can't shake this crazy feeling that like they're out if they blow up the dollar is to do like Schacht in the Weimar Republic in Germany and start issuing a second currency, right? Like he was issuing the Rentenmark, which was backed by the mortgages or something on property in Germany. And I can imagine them convincing themselves that if they gain physical possession of the United States gold, they have an insurance policy if they blow up the dollar. They'll still be able to pay their soldiers and issue like some other kind of currency. And again, you can't just, you can't. There's not enough gold to back like the amount of dollars in circulation without like incredible devaluation. Like there's not enough. And gold doesn't fucking matter. It's a shiny fucking metal, you fucking dumbasses.
Sure, that's a whole other discussion. But I just want to make sure everyone understands too. The dollar for almost entirely is not backed by gold. There's like a very small percentage of the Federal Reserve like has some loans out and some gold to back loans and to like it's minimally used. It's minimally used for the dollar.
Well, and it's we have a lot of gold.
But we have the most gold in the world. We have the most gold in the world. And so, yes.
Unless you believe conspiracy theories about China.
or any other number of countries, I'm sure. I do think Elon Musk is like a cartoon villain with a shiny rock in front of him. I do think that the Federal Reserve is in like serious danger here. It is one of the most concerning things happening right now. I know it's a slew of concerning things. I know we're talking about CFPB, USAID, the Treasury, the Social Security insurance, a lot of things.
The president declaring himself a king.
A coup. Okay, I understand that. If they get to the Fed, it means trouble for every single person in America. So I just want everyone to be aware of this and concerned.
It is one of those red buttons that makes the path to recovery, like both for the United States and for the global order, that much harder, that much longer, and that much bloodier.
And sadly, Burrito has assured me she has the ear of Donald Trump, and Cas coin is probably going to be used in the Bitcoin strategic reserve.